Welcome back to the South Carolina Water Resources Conference. I'm Donna London, and we are here in Columbia, South Carolina. And joining me this afternoon is Miss Susan Jackson. She is with Santee Cooper, and I want to thank you for taking time away from the conference and from your booth and from all of the discussions that you have going on today to join us to tell us a little bit about Santee Cooper and your interest in the water conference.
Well, thank you for having me.
And first, let's talk about the history of Santee Cooper, because if you're new to the state or you haven't paid attention, you may not know what is going on with Santee Cooper and how it came to be.
Well, Santee Cooper started by FDR during the New Deal program and the height of the Depression. This project employed over 1,000 people in the state, and it began with the creation of Lakes Marion and Moultrie. So we started with water, and we're still very involved and interested in water quality throughout the state. And one of the first projects was the building of the Jeffries Generating Station hydro facility. That's still operating today. It's 127 megawatts of hydropower.
Wow, wow. So since that time, what has happened to Santee Cooper's growth boundaries? And in terms of your generation of power, but also of your water resources that you're in charge of?
Yeah, we are still, we're the state's largest producer of electricity, and we have a mix of power sources now, a mix of generation, which includes hydropower, but also coal, nuclear, and renewables. And we now provide not only water to electricity to the state, but also, some people don't realize, we make drinking water for 6 counties in the Low Country. And those are 2 facilities on the Lakes Marion and Lake Moultrie that provide this drinking water.
Now, you've mentioned a number of elements that are in your energy portfolio. In terms of renewable efforts, I frequently hear of some of the things that Santee Cooper has going on that I believe our listeners and our viewers would like to know about.
Yes, we have some solar, some biomass. We also are looking into other options from renewables. But one thing that really ties back to water is not just the renewables, but energy conservation. And we have a great program for energy conservation called Reduce the Use. You can look up on it on santeecooper.com and learn more about it, because the more you reduce your use of electricity, you're also saving water.
Amazing what all is going on there that we don't have information about if we're not within that area, or we don't have access or don't know how to find some of the great publications that you put out.
So just check our webpage too if you're ever interested in more information.
Now, one of the things that we have been discussing today is the importance of water to economic development. And of course, that's one of the areas that Santee Cooper has been involved with since the very beginning. Can you shed some light on that and the importance of that to the state of South Carolina?
Yes, you need water, an available water source for economic development. And our mission at Santee Cooper is to be the state's leading resource to improve the quality of life for South Carolinians. That includes economic development. So we're interested in looking into this and having a state plan and process to make sure that we can have sustainable water in the state to encourage economic development.
And that was another item that kept coming up over the course of the last couple of days, is the need, particularly for people that want to come to the state of South Carolina and businesses that want to come to the state of South Carolina, that they have a need to know. They need to know that those resources are going to be there for them if they're going to make that tremendous investment that businesses do. And the importance of not only within your jurisdiction of having plans in place, but looking on the outside borders. And I understand that Santee Cooper, as well as the other different providers of water as well as energy, do a lot of internal planning. Tell us about that process.
Well,
in just very general terms.
Yes.
Tell us about that process
Okay.
in just very general terms.
We try to look at and determine and forecast what the state's needs will be for generation and for drinking water, and we work that into our integrated resource plan for the state. And so that helps us plan ahead so that we can continue to provide low cost and reliable power.
And in terms of this conference and some of the research that's going on, but also the collaboration that's going on between the business community and the providers, as well as the legislators and environmentalists, it goes on and on. And from your perspective, why is it important to have an academic conference such as this for the state of South Carolina?
You know, I think this is a great conference because Clemson, you're doing a great job with it, and the academic part of it is so important because when we're looking at statewide water planning, one thing that we like to know is that it's based on sound science. And we also think it's really good to have this dialogue and this input from the stakeholders. And you know, we heard DHEC say earlier in the conference that they are welcoming input from the stakeholders. But when you can tie everything back to sound science, then you know that is the best way to make those plans, those long-term plans.
And while Clemson, of course, is very pleased to be a part of the conference, I think it is important to also note that University of South Carolina and College of Charleston, and in fact, one of the awards that was giving out early today for the poster contest went to a student that was from coastal
Carolina.
Right, right. So it is very involved in terms of academic interest and, of course, exercises and research, but it is involved across the state, and I think that's probably one of the things that is beneficial about it as well, is that there is so much cross collaboration.
Yes.
And now the other thing, because I know I've seen you over the
I've been here several times.
Yes, since the very beginning, from the first water conference that we held here, there've been changes in attitude as well as in terms of interest and optimism. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, do you see that, and what are you hearing?
You know, I thought I'm seeing some growth and some improvements every time we come back for this conference. You know, this year I think there was 341 registered attendees, which is the highest yet. The very first one was in Charleston, and now that's moved to the center of the state, and that way you get collaboration throughout the state to have it centrally located. And so the presentations have always been great, but what I liked this time especially was the plenary session had a variety of people on the panel: business leaders, legislators, you know, nonprofit organizations, and the regulators. That helped generate additional dialogue, and it allowed us, as we listened to everyone, to really have a better appreciation of everyone's different perspectives and what they have to offer.
And when we come back 2 years from now, what would be your desire to hear? If you could say it in a sentence or two, what do you want to see have happened by then?
I think I would like to see that we've made additional progress in our state water planning and our state's goals for improving the water quality and ensuring we have good water quality. And that was based on sound science and input from all the stakeholders.
I want to thank you, Ms. Susan Jackson from Santee Cooper.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
For the Jim Self Center on the Future, I'm Donna London.